everyone, welcome or welcome back. My name is Cassidy or Starr, and I'm a light renegade, part of a collective of Pleiadian beings bringing you information from the veil beyond. Welcome if this is your first time. This is our fourth message from J.Epstein, and yeah, I had more dialogue. I actually had more dialogue and time with him last night. I was guided to stay up and watch a documentary quite late, and you know, he was kind of there with me through all of that, which was a interesting experience. There's definitely a level of uncomfortability in all of this for me, and I think, you know, the obvious, I'm a woman, and yeah, we're figuring out the best way to bring this all forward. So apologies if messages seem short, but there's something in finding the right way to bring all of this forward, and that feels comfortable for me, and also what's being shared too. I think that some things just don't need to be aired, you know, and it's like the nitty details don't need to be discussed. So I think we're finding a happy medium with all of that, and I was grateful to have a bit more time with him so that I could feel kind of into all of this a little bit more. It's very strange, and it's very difficult to kind of stay in this space because it just doesn't feel real. And you know, I think some people might find themselves here and this is the first time that they see someone channel or kind of understand what it is, and it's really difficult to keep yourself in a space of believing any of this because, you know, we're not taught these types of gifts and things, and it's difficult for me to stay in this space too. There's not that many people around me at this time that kind of understand or truly get it, I think. So yeah, it's taken a bit of time to work through all of this, everyone, so I apologize, and I'm trying to be as respectful as I can, but I know that some things kind of need to be talked through with me as well. So yeah, I'm finding my space here, so I hope that it is coming through with love, and it's just about the truth coming out, and I think some people having a deeper layer of understanding this person and how everything came to be, and that's what we get through today. The title of today's was Who Was I Really, and we get to learn a little bit more about who, Jeffrey Epstein truly was. But I'm going to start, and he said, I know this is a question that people want answered. I know that it must be so confusing to understand how things got as bad as they did, as insane as they did, and how I was able to just keep going. The truth is, I had the world at my fingertips. I knew so many truly powerful and wretched people. There was no one I was afraid of, or no one I was unable to get in my good books. I knew I had the gift. I knew what people wanted. It was as though it was written all over their faces. The pain, the needs, their desires. And I just fed them what they wanted. I had the resources to attain anything you could imagine. I had many people working for me, my associates, but I knew I was the one in charge. No one had what I did, apart from Ghislaine. I had met my match. But that's a talk for another time. I think I would like to start by saying that I was lost. I was always searching for something more, better than what I started with. I didn't come from much, and at some point that began to frustrate me. I knew I would do anything I could to make a name for myself, and I was terrified to die without leaving a legacy. That felt inbuilt. From as young as I could remember, I felt like I was somebody. I can't describe it. But I felt like no one could see what I saw. They didn't understand and see the world like I did. I felt like I was looking at a maze, a game, something I had to figure out and win. My parents would frustrate me. I knew I was smarter than them, and I wondered how I ended up where I did. why I was born into the family and not another. I would keep myself up at night as a child, pondering questions like this. I enjoyed education. I liked to know things that others didn't, and that was how I began to gain power. I taught myself things that others didn't know. I enjoyed mathematics very much, and I knew there had to be a formula to win. So I set out to find it. It's funny how the world leads you. The more you lean into it. I would ask questions into the night sky, and I would be shown. I would be shown the way to something better than this, and it always came. I was granted to access education and people. I found myself in spaces with great minds, and I admired a lot of whom I worked alongside. But I always knew I had the upper hand. That's the thing. Some people are so gifted in just one thing, and that's all they focus on. They don't have particularly great people skills, but I did, and that was my weapon. I used it to have people on my side. I would see their weaknesses and lock into that. That's when I knew I had them eating out of the palm of my hand. I was idolized by many, and that was what I had always craved. I think I began to use perversion and sex as a way to control over things that felt uncontrollable. I didn't have many women chase after me in my younger years, and I wasn't confident unless there was a way I knew I had total control over another. That was the only way I was able to connect. I'm not excusing how I behaved, but offering a layer of understanding. That's what it always was. Control, control, control. And I knew how to get it. I studied people. I wasn't the loudest in the room, nor did people find me particularly interesting, I don't think. But there was an air of arrogance that I created around myself that couldn't be ignored. We are like sheep. We do as we are told. If you say it the right way, everyone will listen. I learnt that just from watching. I enjoyed the financial game. It was a huge game of chess, which I got very good at. But it didn't work out. I wanted to do nothing really and have it all. All I needed was money. And that's what I set my sights on. Money and the most amounts of it. There was no sum unimaginable or enough. I knew how to invest, but also how to spend, so I would always need more, or at least that's how it felt. I'm going to call it an addiction, because it was. My sexual preferences started far too young to even truly remember, and I don't particularly want to share any of that here. It's not the space for it. I'm sure you can understand. But I began to like the fear. It was something else I couldn't explain. I think my deepest fears, I would see them play out, and I got something out of that. I was terrified to die. That's when all of this took a dark turn, when I started to believe I was invincible. I'd heard stories. You know, there's always a weird kid at college, especially when you start to look out for those who have money. They are always doing some form of ritual or spell casting or looking for ways to coerce others to do things that they didn't want to do. Manipulation is spell work. It is spell work to me, witchcraft, whatever you would like to call it. You put people under your spell. It's as simple as that. And if you dress it up with some expensive things, bells, and pretend you have freedom, then you are living the dream in others' eyes. You have it all. And slap a twist of perversion, a perverse nature, and the elites love you. It is all so simple. Once I had the formula, it was just meet, greet, and repeat. None of it was difficult, until I was asked to get deeper and deeper into the ritualistic side of things. I cannot claim to know how it all happened, but my obsession from the occult came from a fairly young age. I wanted to know about the other. I was obsessed with death, yet afraid to die. I didn't start off wanting to hurt people, women, girls, children. That all came much later in my story. But I admit there is so much to comb through, and I find it difficult to stay in one place. The web of my actions, lies and deceit is far too vast to truly fit it all into one sitting, and I don't want to burden you all with it too much. Just know that I was a boy seeking, lost. I felt deformed, disfigured, and I was at a disadvantage. I was poor, and I hated it. But that's enough from me today. Jay. There's so much to get through, everyone. And I'm glad that we're getting a video every day, it feels like, but I think that this is going to be a slow process, partly on my side, so apologies with that, but also I think keeping up with the timing of how everything is going to come out and when, and the best way for everything. I think just something that seems really obvious to me and perhaps to you too, but just how familiar the story is of, feeling like there was something more, knowing that there was something more out there for you and seeing the world in a different way from others. It's like that innate knowing that we all have, that life isn't what we are told it is. And it's interesting to me to think, when does that switch? When does that curiosity turn to things that are of a darker nature rather than light? And, on a wider scale of things, it's like, of course that happens. We're just energy experiencing itself over and over again. And this could be anyone's story. So I'm glad that we get to hear it. I'm devastated for everyone that's been harmed during, this hideous empire. I didn't realize how long this had all gone on for. I was a child when this began, and that really shocked me. I had no idea just how long, kind of this reign happened. It really, really shocked me to realize that watching the documentary last night. I thought, this has been a really long time, and this has been a lot of people, a lot of children, and a lot of lives destroyed, and it's truly unthinkable. But it feels like the nature of the world, and it just makes it even more apparent to me just how important it is for information like this to come out to help people understand what is really happening, and to close down those darker timelines, those darker natures, because it's just not necessary anymore where we are. And I hope that we get it all. I'm thinking of things that I would like to ask as questions, and I'm trying to find the line between being respectful of those that might have been involved, but also wanting to know the full truth, and feeling like we need to know the full truth too. So I'm going to sit with my team and see how we can configure that and what's going to feel best moving forward. But I hope to get more, and I'll be back tomorrow. Take care, everyone.